Chris.
Heath.
Hey.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Why do you say that?
Because the scent of E3 is in the air. Can you smell it, Heath?
I can. It's a little unshowered, but it's the smell of excitement.
Yeah, it's that time of the year again. We're in June 1st of 2019, and this is episode 17 of Mobius Tubes.
Mobius Tubes, your favorite video game podcast. I'm a little tired, Chris, because I drove here like a minute ago.
Yeah, I can see the weariness in your eyes.
Can you? My fatigue made me start thinking of fatigue in video games. Did you ever play For Honor?
No, but I'm familiar with the game.
That game, it's not like you just lose damage like you would in other fighting games. It's a fighting game with like swords and whatnot. But you don't necessarily get down to like a magic pixel. You know how in Pokemon, you've played Pokemon now.
Oh yeah, I'm an expert on the series.
But when your guy gets down to like the red zone, it beeps nonstop, right?
Yeah, constantly. It's like a warning signal.
That's how I'm feeling.
You're on your last legs here.
No, I should clarify. That's not how I'm feeling. I don't feel like I'm taking damage, but I feel it more. I feel like the guys in For Honor, because instead of that health system, they just they lose stamina, and it like takes longer to start up moves, I think.
Okay.
Another example is like in Sekiro, the Shadows Die Twice, the Souls game that's out right now. Don't bosses have their stance? And you can't deal damage unless you break through their poise or their stance. Which of the two?
Those sound like terms that would be in the game. I have not played the game.
Yeah, so that's how I'm feeling on this side of the table. But you're feeling good?
Don't worry, Heath. I'm refreshed and ready to carry you through this podcast because I have quite the lineup of topics to discuss with you.
Well, that's good because I don't have any games that I've been playing.
Which brings us to our week. So you're saying it was a lighter one for you.
Well, okay. I did play Obra Dinn with my dad, which was
foretold in the past.
Yes. To a moderate level of success. We got to the stopping point that I suggested, 6 identities confirmed. We were playing on a 360 controller. The maneuverability in that game, because you can't, like I said, there's no fine motor control, shoot the gun in that game. It's a puzzle game. Every time your little death compass detects a new body, you have to like follow this smoke trail over to the corpse to relive the memory.
Okay.
Definitely, it was noticeably wearing on my dad to have to navigate all the way back up to the poop deck to do the second memory. At which point I started thinking like, oh, would we be enjoying this more if it was just like a slideshow of like logic puzzle memory flashbacks?
You're saying there's some unnecessary backtracking, maybe?
I mean, well, because you'll scope around and be like, oh, that guy fell off the crow's nest. And then you'll have to walk from the brig, port and starboard, up to the crow's nest to lock it in or what have you. Just Lucas Pope, you can do no wrong. But maybe in Return of the Obra Dinn 2, not Obra done yet, just cut those out.
Okay, maybe there's some fat that could be trimmed, perhaps.
Yes.
That maybe wasn't quite so evident on a first playthrough.
Well, it probably wasn't evident because Lucas Pope didn't have his dad play, who lacks the, it just became what we would think is effortless. It's a walking simulator, kind of.
Yeah.
Walking is hard for adults.
Very true. I went running today, and afterwards, I attempted to climb the stairs in my house, and my right knee was like full of pain. So clearly, I'm reaching adulthood.
Yeah. Joints are real.
So in conclusion, is that about all you had to say about your experience playing with your dad?
Yeah, and that was the only game I played, so.
Fair enough.
I'll pass it back to you.
To kind of mimic you here, I had a light week as well. Only one game played, and it will be my final update on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And it's my final update because I beat the game, everybody. I rolled the credits. It's so cool. We got to like chronologue my opinion of this game with like 3 different snapshots of it, because my opinion for this game has probably changed the most over time compared to just about any other game I've played. Where do I stand now? Now it's sitting as my favorite Switch game.
What?
And my most played Switch game to boot.
What?
I wrapped it up in a little over 45 hours it took me, so pretty long. And my completion stats for all you nerds out there, I did 60 of the shrines, which is only half of them. There's a whole bunch more out there. Just the fact that I've only played half the shrines and I've already seen such a wide breadth of like cool concepts and ideas introduced in these puzzles, and there's potentially twice as many cool ideas out there that I never saw, is kind of staggering.
There's 120 shrines?
Yeah.
Do your hearts start to fill up the top of the screen such that you can't see the character?
I have seen, there are ways to get like temporary hearts, so I have seen myself like get down to the 2nd and 3rd row of hearts.
There's a 3rd row.
Oh yeah, you can be hearts up the wazoo.
Wow.
You seem speechless.
I mean, imagine all the people who play RPGs and do like create a character and think that's all there is to see. That's where I'm coming from.
Got it. Yeah, because you start with 3 hearts, and at times I've had like over 26 hearts.
Well, I can picture that. I've seen screenshots of having like the 2 rows, but I imagine if you did all 120, Link can probably just leap off a mountain and take it like a champ.
He can become pretty substantial, yeah. But you're also splitting those between the stamina upgrades and the heart upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all the Divine Beasts complete, donezo. I did all the Find Your Lost Memories, found all of those. There's just a couple small highlights that I want to bring attention to. And I've talked many times about how interconnected all the systems are in this game. Case in point, one of my favorite little moments in this game was doing this shrine that dealt with electricity. And there were some wires running across the ground, and the goal was to like direct the flow of electricity to reach the end of the shrine. Unfortunately, there were like a couple gaps in the wires that you needed to fill with these metal boxes provided for you. And some of them were like behind bars. You had to direct the flow of electricity in such a way to open the bars so you can get more of these metal boxes so you can progress further. But that seemed like a lot of effort to me. And I just wondered to myself, hey, I'm pretty far in this game. I've acquired all these metal weapons. I wonder if I just throw my metal weapons into the gaps instead of using the metal boxes they were providing, if they would conduct the electricity for me and save me some time. And lo and behold, after unequipping weapons and putting them on the ground, you can clear the shrine much faster that way because all of the internal logic in the game is consistent. All those things that like they seem like the cheap solutions that you try and they never work in a game, they work in this game because they just thought everything through so thoroughly. And then I took 2 steps onto my weapon that was conducting electricity and it killed me.
Oh, because it's a live...
It's a live circuit.
You just touched the electric fence, yeah.
So then I had to restart the shrine. I did it again and was more careful that time, and it worked like a charm. But moments like that are the highlights of this game. It's not like the big story sections. It's the little things you discover on your own.
I wonder if the Breath of the Wild team were deliberately thinking, oh, let's make the weapons work in this case. Or if it's just in-game metal things do this.
I think their design philosophy is just metal things will always conduct electricity.
Well, okay, surely there are certain weapons or items that are not exclusively metal and then might have like a wooden handle or something like that. Do they take the time and make sure like, oh, you got to touch the metal bits?
Yeah, that level of granularity is probably not there.
Yeah, but the granularity that is there is unheard of in other games.
Above and beyond where other games would leave off.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to talk about, because we've talked about this game plenty, so I don't want to make it a huge segment once again.
Well, into the breach, folks. Oh, man, I'm having such a good time killing those bugs.
Yeah. Point taken. I want to talk about Eventide Island.
Yeah, you made
which
it.
I teased about. So
no spoilers.
I want to spoil it.
Okay,
so
fine. Yeah,
listeners, if you don't want to know about Eventide Island, skip ahead like 3 or 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the corner of a map, all by itself, all on its lonesome.
It was like close. I went down to like Gerudo Desert.
Gerudo Desert is the bottom left. This is the bottom right.
Okay.
And it looks fairly unimpressive and unremarkable. It's not like huge or anything. I glide over to it because I have plenty of stamina for gliding now. And I land on it. And as soon as my feet touch the sand on the beach, this voice speaks out to me and says, "You've made it very far, but you've become too reliant on your equipment. To impress me, we're going to strip away everything you've acquired thus far."
It's Batman Arkham City Island.
So all of a sudden, Link is naked on the beach, save for a loincloth. All of my weapons and arrows and bows have been taken away. They're going to be returned to me at the end of this challenge. And what you have to do is, on this island, there are 3 like balls to acquire that are like highlighted. You don't know where they are. And you have to collect them and bring them to their 3 corresponding altars. And upon doing that, you will clear the island's challenge. But this island, you get to it pretty late game, presumably, because it's hard to reach. And so at this point, you become accustomed to using all your later game gear, and now it's like you're back to the start. You're fighting with twig branches once again, and finding like a lid pot as a shield, and just scavenging anything you can find. There are some intimidating late game bandit camps you still have to deal with despite this severe handicap. So I'm conducting like strafing runs against the camp because I can't fight them head on. So the enemies are like dancing around a fire pit. I glide down stealthily, land next to the log that's by their side where all of their weapons are resting.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that before.
Grab all their weapons before they can notice, and then book it out of there. So then next time...
That's why they're just hanging out, is for like you to take
steal
advantage
them.
of it. Yeah.
So they're all unarmed now. So the next time I fight them, which I approach stealthily, right? I'm armed and they're not. So
They don't have... Okay.
they don't have backup weapons.
It's not just that those weapons are like ripe for the taking. They are not equipped.
They're unequipped. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's all about being stealthy on this island. There's like I don't know if you saw this like giant Cyclops enemy from the like trailers, but there's one of those on the island and he has the spherical ball like hanging around his neck. So you can like try to fight him. You can steal it and run, which is the approach I took. So it's just a very different kind of gameplay than what you were accustomed to in the other areas of Breath of the Wild.
Cool. So that's just the cherry on top of like...
Yeah, just like a very memorable thing that I stumbled across.
What's my favorite Switch game?
Pokemon Let's Go Eevee?
Yeah, that's it. Would you say that this is by far the best Switch game? It's your favorite, but would you call it the best? Among...
Ooh, yeah. That's always kind of a
distinction.
weird question because... one is your favorite, which appeals to your sensibilities.
Because when the console launched, it was a Zelda machine.
Right. For many people.
Didn't they
it
call
was
it
a
that?
launch title.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably say, from what I've played, which is, I'm mainly sticking to the Switch exclusives, it's probably the best. I feel like I'm justified in saying that.
Wow. I guess that's indicative because my roommate also had a copy of Mario Odyssey and I didn't plug that in.
There was this crazy statistic floating around near launch where the attach rate of Breath of the Wild copies to Switch consoles, more people had bought the game than there were Switches out there. I was one of them, actually. I owned Breath of the Wild before I had a Switch.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that just like a holiday coincidence or
There was like...
what was your reason?
I knew I was getting a Switch, and the game had a sale, which is pretty rare. So I snatched it up in preparation for playing it.
Yeah, they're selling Mario Maker 2 right now.
This month, yeah.
For like it's got like a crazy bundle.
I did see that. Man, what was that?
While you wait for the game to get made, you can buy a cheaper. It's a price cut on any of the other games of the
Right.
whatever catalog.
Very cool. Yeah, nice to see Nintendo offering deals, which they're not always known for doing.
Mario Maker 2 looks cool too.
I agree, it looks good. Not really my type of game, but
Me neither. We're not going to play it.
probably not. Yeah, so that was my week. Breath of the Wild, well worth your time and effort to play.
Well, I mean, we'll see if I get my hands on it again.
The Divine Beasts, they're cool.
Is the camel, had I done the camel, would I have been like, this is the best, this is game of the year 2017?
2017, yeah. The camel was my favorite of the four. It almost gave me vibes, not quite to this extent, but in Dishonored 2, I think we've mentioned the Clockwork Mansion level where the whole environment around you rearranges itself. You're doing some of that in these Divine Beasts. You have control over like reshuffling them like a Rubik's Cube. And I really like that kind of gimmick.
Cool.
So lighter weeks, but we're going to make up for it with a pretty meaty news section, are we not?
We got a lot of good news that I wanted to talk about.
Excellent. Then we're going to take a break and talk to you when we get back.
What do you want to talk about first? All right, folks, it's time for corrections. Last episode, in the midst of talking about Firewatch, I called Captain Toad a dating sim just because Toadette was in the game. Toadette and Toad are siblings, according to the wiki.
According to Nintendo lore.
As far as I could tell, it's never as explicit. Like in their first appearance, there's no descriptor. But supposedly they're siblings. So that's one correction.
That would be frowned upon unless you're looking for like a Captain Toad Treasure Tracker crossover with Game of Thrones or something.
And then we were making assumptions about the performance of Minecraft Earth, and I said, like, I asked, quote, what's a good number or something like that. And I said if Pokemon Go had been downloaded 10 million, Minecraft Earth's going to do 5. I want to specify Pokemon Go reached 10 million after 7 days. It's actually been installed 550 million times. So I'm going to say we'll stick with like the 10 million benchmark. I'm guessing Minecraft Earth's going to hit that in 2 weeks. So twice as long as it took Pokemon Go.
Interesting.
That's my wager. And that's it for corrections. We actually have a lot of news. We have Call of Duty Childhood got announced.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Jeopardy is a game show? Do we want to talk about that? Just as kind of like a current events.
I'm not opposed to it. Yeah, I've been loosely following it. My parents watch it almost every night.
What's the guy's name? James Holzhauer?
I don't know his name.
All right.
I know what he looks like. I can picture his face.
Oh, he has such a punchable face.
Oh, that's harsh.
More so than Ken Jennings. Ken Jennings is kind of like, oh, you lovable nerd.
I watched the one episode he competed on where one of the categories was video games.
Oh, cool.
Let it be known that I would have gotten one of them wrong. It asked like what moon in Destiny 2 were you fighting on, and I did not know. It was like Io or something.
Oh, that is really esoteric.
He got it though.
Wow.
Props
He's
to this
so
guy.
Smart. James Holzhauer. Yeah, I was right. Because I watched a video that had like great stats. Like this is near historic what's going on. So, Ken Jennings was the previous all-time winner. He averaged, I think it was like $30,000 a game, which is pretty good. You only need to win Jeopardy. I think the smallest payout for like the champion is like $1,000 at one point. But both these guys would bring in huge bucks. Like this new guy, James, if he buzzes in, he has a 97% chance of coming up with the correct answer.
Which is incredible.
And he buzzes in frequently. Yeah, Ken Jennings was hitting 34,000 every game or average. James is hitting like 74. James is estimated to surpass Ken in like 6 games. So perhaps he's already done so?
I think he's about to.
He's about to? Maybe like tomorrow?
And he's kind of an intimidating opponent to go up against because he's so fast on the draw.
Yeah. All the Jeopardy champions get really good at buzzing if they've stuck around for long enough. It's supposedly like it's chump change at this point. He only needs like 50K to surpass it.
Right. That's probably 1 game away.
Yeah. So that happened.
Would you like me to interrupt this news segment with a game to play?
Yay!
This is partially inspired by the game you set up for me last time.
The Hall of Fame
Video game Hall of Fame
guessing game. Yes.
So I have a guessing game for you. I stumbled across this Wikipedia article the other day called 2018 in Gaming that I was perusing.
Oh, no.
And one of the sections that immediately drew my interest was financial performance. And what I want to have you guess, Heath, today, 10 questions. What were the highest grossing games of 2018? And what I've done for you, it lists the top 10. I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and each time you're going to have a 50-50 chance. One of the games I'm going to offer is on the list of the top 10 highest grossing, and the other one I have come up with as a red herring.
Yeah.
Just to make this as fair as possible, I'll read you the exact description of what they mean by the highest grossing games. You know, since you didn't give me the description
until like
what,
70% in the quiz.
Yeah, you didn't quite tell me what qualifies as a World of Fame nominee, but we're gonna give you a fighting chance here.
What a good host.
The following were 2018's top 10 highest grossing video games in terms of worldwide digital revenue, including digital purchases, microtransactions, free-to-play, and pay-to-play, across all platforms. So this includes mobile, PC, and console.
The M word.
So this is like as comprehensive as you can get. We're throwing in microtransactions and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So put on your marketing cap and
put on my
business.
Put on my guessing book time to read cap.
Here's the goal I'm going to throw out for you. If you can beat my 69% accuracy rating, you need 7 of these right.
7 correct.
So there's the friendly challenge I'm throwing down.
Oh, no.
I've tried to categorize these into like similar competitors per question. As you'll see in category 1, which is the Battle Royale genre. Which one of these 2 games came out on top? Was it
I was going to say PUBG and
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or Call of Duty Black Ops 4?
Oh.
One of those is on the list and the other is not.
PUBG.
You are correct.
Yeah, because, dude, have you looked at the numbers? Fortnite's big, but PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has a milestone on Twitch that I don't think will ever be surpassed.
Really?
Twitch. There's this one channel that does all these timeline videos, and I've watched them like most popular baby names. Anyway, you'll see that the most popular game being watched is like CSGO for the longest time and Hearthstone for the longest time. And then much in the way that like PewDiePie, the most subscribed YouTuber, just in the mid 2010s, just broke away so fast from the like 2nd through 10th place to have a far and wide insurmountable lead. PUBG was like that in
its heyday.
In like 2015 to now.
I think it came out in 2017.
Before it was released, it was doing gangbusters. So yeah, as lucrative as Call of Duty must have been, can't touch the PUBG.
All right, 1 point in Heath's column. On to question 2, where we're having MOBAs fight off. Which one made more money?
I've played neither of these.
Dota 2, kind of the PC gamer of choice game, or Arena of Valor, which is more popular on mobile?
This is the first. I'm calling it now. The mobile games are the dark horse in this quiz. If you were to come up with fake mobile game names and say which of these is real, Arena of Valor or friggin' Shadow of Nut Scratcher, I wouldn't be able to guess it.
We have some of those coming.
And granted, they're probably all successful, but not all of them are going to be the top grossing. So it's random guesses compared to Dota, which is, man. If Dota is not in the top 10 highest grossing, it has to be like top 20.
Final answer.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Dota.
Going to go with Dota 2.
Dota 2 is in the top 10.
It was actually Arena of Valor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which is huge. Maybe not so much in the States, but like you have to factor in all those
Freaking South
Asian
Koreans.
countries.
Yeah. Goddamn South Korea.
Or Arena
Listening
of Valor.
to their BTS.
Arena of Valor is actually the second highest grossing
Amazing.
of the year. Only behind another game we'll get to later. All right.
Oh.
Next category is mobile games you've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
We have Clash of Clans or Candy Crush Saga.
Clash of Clans is so popular among the young kids, and Candy Crush is popular among the 401k havers. It's a question of who's buying. So we're actually going to say that because all the old folks are playing Candy Crush and old people have money,
They sure do.
we're going to give it to Candy Crush over Clash of Clans. Because even though Clash of Clans is probably more widely among
Maybe more users, but
maybe more users, but no one's spending money in Clash of Clans.
you are correct.
Yeah. See, friggin', call me up, Hall of Fame. I know my trends.
The Candy Crush Saga was actually the game that inspired this questionnaire because it came up as a nominee for the Hall of Fame. And we mentioned how like it was on the decline and probably wouldn't make it in. Mm-hmm. But it's
still making so much.
It was number 10 of last year.
In 2018.
In 2018.
Okay, so that's why it was nominated.
Very well could be.
Likely.
Next category, the
Arena Fighters.
the Nintendo associated games. Which one was it? Super Smash Bros. Ultimate or Pokemon Go?
Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go.
You're right. Yeah. There are some easier ones in here. You got it. Okay. Next.
Pokemon. Well, I mean, I looked up Pokemon Go to get that number of installs. Pokemon Go made like 2.5 billion.
We'll do a quick check here.
You don't have to check it. I already know.
For
2.5 billion in revenue, like
okay.
lifetime.
Got it. For 2018 revenue for
2018
Pokemon
is
Go
probably going to be like
was
1.1.
1.3 billion.
I'm
very
so good.
Pokemon Go is kind of baffling to me because it came out in 2016. It was a phenomenon. 2017 rolls around and it slips out of like the top 10 biggest moneymakers. And then there's a big resurgence in 2018.
Well, that's because Generation 3, and which is the best generation.
Okay. A new content came out for it. Got it.
Oh, yeah, dude. There's monsters. I've considered doing this, like a video in which I try to name all the Pokemon and just see if I can maybe hit plus 50% correct.
Moving on. We're 4 questions in. You have 3 points so far. You're doing well.
Yeah.
Next category is games that start with M. We have Monster Strike and Minecraft. Do you know anything about Monster Strike?
Is it a PvP game or PvE?
It's a mobile game.
Okay.
Well, I guess you could call Minecraft also a mobile game because it's on the platform, but it started on PC.
As with most mobile games, the bulk of their money is in microtransactions. Have you ever heard of anyone spending microtransactions on Minecraft?
There are skins available, right? But
I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, I was just thinking consumable items. But yeah, you're right. There are skins. As prolific as Minecraft is, I'm gonna give it to Monster Hunter. What did you call it?
Monster Strike.
Yeah.
You are correct.
Mobile
yeah. To my big surprise, Minecraft was not on the list.
It's in the top 50. It's Minecraft is under Dota.
I don't know for sure.
I'm just giving myself things to say in corrections next episode.
Yeah. 4 points for Heath. He's doing awesome. Next category is behemoths of the industry. We have League of Legends
Fallout 76.
and Red Dead Redemption 2.
Ooh.
So one of these huge games actually did not crack the top 10.
We mentioned Red Dead Redemption made more money than like the film industry. This was back in like episode like four
or 5.
like concave or convex is one of those. Red Dead made stupid amounts of money, but I already forgot it. What's his competitor?
League of Legends.
League of Legends. Oh.
So Red Dead, does it have microtransactions of any kind?
You can probably buy hats online.
I'm not sure if it does, which means these two are approaching monetization from the exact opposite. League of Legends is a free game where it makes all its money on microtransactions.
You buy different champions.
Red Dead is the $60 game that everyone bought, but it doesn't have a tail on the after you buy it.
Right. So can the over-the-counter comeuppance that is Red Dead surpass the loot box craze that is in League? For 2018, well, I'm going to give it to Red Dead.
This one was League of Legends.
No.
I know, right? I was
would
amazed.
have hoped. Okay, so Red Dead's not in the top 10.
Yeah.
League must pull in crazy money. I'm not doubting that League makes a ton, but I would have thought maybe 2018 might have been like a slow year, relatively speaking.
Evidently not. All right. Next question. The shooter category. We have Overwatch and Crossfire.
Once again, the dark horse enters the race.
For what to picture for Crossfire, it's kind of like a CSGO looking type of game.
And you can play it on your Huawei phone.
Probably. Yeah, I didn't do too much digging.
We're going to bite the bullet and give it to Crossfire. And it's going to be like, oh no, it was Overwatch. Crossfire is in the top 10.
You are correct.
Wow,
it is.
nice. All right.
Which
I made up for mobile. What was the first one? Like Arena Showdown?
Arena of Valor. You
These
gave it
names.
to Dota too. All right. Next category is vaguely fantasy games I have not heard of. First option, Fantasy Westward Journey or Fate Grand Order.
Just going on
So
names.
this is random guessing at this point.
This is very critical analysis I'm about to do. So Fantasy World, I think
Fantasy Westward Journey.
Fantasy Westward Journey sounds more niche than Fate.
Fate Grand Order.
Because I can imagine everybody and their mom getting on a game like World of Tanks. Like that thing you always see in the ads for sketchy websites.
Sure.
A title like that has more shelf life than Fantasy Westward Journey. Fantasy Westward Journey, that's like a Undernight in Birth, Last Extent, Pacer Fitnessgram, I'm not going to give it to the one that has the more esoteric name.
So you're giving it to
Fate Westward Journey. What is it called?
Fate Grand Order is your choice?
Fate Grand Order takes it over fantasy.
You are correct.
I'm amazing.
You are at 6 points with 2 questions to go.
Still, those were costly misses.
Just an FYI, the Fantasy Westward Journey game that you said had a maligned
tell me it was
name.
like 11.
I pulled it from 2017's top 10.
Oh.
That's where I got it from.
Okay. I dodged a bullet again.
This category is the sequel to the previous category, more vaguely fantasy games I have not heard of.
Oh, no.
We have Game of War Fire Age or Dungeon Fighter Online.
Both machioso titles. Gosh, can I even remember what you just said? Dungeon Fighter Online
Is one of them. Game of War.
Game of War.
Game of War,
Fire
I know
Age.
for having Kate Upton in the commercials.
Oh, I too remember Kate Upton in the commercials. Did she was
Riding
she
a
on
horse.
a Pegasus at one
Yeah.
point? Yeah. Game of War sounds more tower defense, whereas Dungeon Fighter Online sounds PvP.
I know nothing about either of these games.
Well, okay, when you have like a dungeon defense, what did I just say? Dungeon defense? When you have like a tower defense base building kind of thing, that's more ripe for microtransactions than a fighting game. Fighting games have very few monetization outside of skins, so we're gonna give it to Game of War.
Dungeon Fighter Online was the correct answer.
Ugh.
All right, Heath, you are sitting at 6 points with one question to go. If you get this right, you succeed in my challenge. If you fail, you lose.
It's a wait, one question to go?
Yeah.
What a perfect setup.
Balance. Yeah. So
As
this last
something
one is
should
a
be.
doozy here. I hope you're ready.
Oh, I hope
The category is
the most red herring.
we had behemoths of the industry as a previous one.
Oh, and now we're
this
gonna
is
have
the
chumps.
the titans of the industry.
Oh wow!
We went bigger for the finale. We have Fortnite and Into the Breach.
Chris, I'd like to thank my parents for this crowning achievement, and Chris for making this game, which was a lot of fun. We're gonna give it to Fortnite.
You are correct. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything that could even remotely compete with Fortnite, so I threw in a funny there.
Good, yeah.
So you got 7 right. Very good.
Screw this arena mystery dungeon.
I think it's fascinating that for as in touch as we think we are with video games,
They make more than like Dota?
4 or 5 of the games on the top 10 I had never heard of.
What are like that's akin to Garth Brooks,
I don't.
the country singer.
Okay.
He sings like I got friends in low places. He sells he is like the highest earning recording artist over the names that you have heard of.
Oh,
Like Lady Gaga, Snoop Dogg, Michael Jackson.
interesting.
Garth Brooks makes so much money because he sells out like these stadiums in middle America. Garth Brooks is the Fate of the Gods dungeon online
Okay.
of country singers.
Very nice. Eloquent analogy as always, Heath. Shall we move on to our next news segment? Do you have one you want to talk about? I have one I want to talk about.
Okay.
You told me to expect many Death Stranding jokes throughout this episode.
Oh yeah. Do we like Hideo Kojima? I have personally never played one of his games, but I'm a big fan of. Or no, I played Ground Zeroes. And you played Ground Zeroes.
I played Ground Zeroes.
We like Ground Zeroes.
It was okay.
It was fun. I went back to it
Okay, cool.
and like just doing like the same pathing even with the sleepy pistol.
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima is the creator of Metal Gear Solid and PT.
Right.
Right?
He was working on that.
He was working on it. We'll just give it to him.
I think that's fair.
And his first game since cutting ties with Konami is a game called Death Stranding, a game that has, if you look up best audience reaction to game announcement, that crowd went nuts for their golden boy going off on his solo venture, Konami dumping him, and just like Norman Reedus holding a baby. They went crazy back in 2017 when this game was announced. And now
it was announced before that, I think.
back when PUBG was
yeah.
So man, dates. This game has had the hype train has been chugging along, and we're worried that it's going to be just like walking through a bleak landscape with very little gameplay. And granted, we will know about this game come next episode. but it's just like with bated breath, we're like, Hideo's got it, right? We liked Ground Zeroes, right?
He's an icon in the industry. He's an auteur, you could say. And what's most surprising is the game is coming in November, which is sooner than I think anyone had a reasonable expectation for.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gameplay didn't do very much for me, but the story has me on the edge of my seat. Oh, I'm talking about Death Stranding.
Oh, okay. Well, we haven't even seen the gameplay yet, really.
He
walks on like a dirt road, and then a demon's ass just sucks him in.
It shows him with like an expandable ladder briefly. He has
like a fan on his backpack.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It's interesting they're showing like lots of actual people's actual likenesses in the game. Like Norman Reedus, as you said, Guillermo del Toro is in the game.
Is he in the game or is he helping produce it?
His likeness is in the game. It
Guillermo
shows
del
him
Toro?
holding the baby. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
This game has the weirdest trailers.
Who's the baby's likeness?
From a gameplay perspective, the one thing that has me interested is how the game does not have a traditional failure state. You can't die.
Oh, is it David Cage?
When you die, you go into a different dimension.
Okay.
Evidently.
I mean,
I guess you go into the Death Stranding if that's what they're going for.
Oh, the title is so abstract. Did you read a tweet? He was like, Death Stranding is not a stealth game. It's an action game that uses the social strand system.
The word that gets thrown around a lot is connections.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some sort of weird multiplayer component, I have to assume. Multiplayer-esque component.
Like Nier Automata?
Maybe like how in Dark Souls, other players can be in your game.
The summons, or you're invaded.
Invaded or summons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that maybe you'll like come across NPCs who are actually other players. Kind of like how Journey did it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, another scarf guy would be running around and like helping guide you.
Right.
Or, just doing donuts. So that's Death Stranding. One of the most excited things leading into E3 is Call of Duty. Did you not play Call of Duty?
I played the original Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3. That's the extent of my Call of Duty history.
Okay, so before Modern Warfare 3, there was Modern Warfare 2, and that's a middle school dream right there.
Touchstone.
Man, we were in Mr. Sequoia's art class.
You went to a different middle school than I did.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was at Martha Brown.
I was JP.
Okay. In that art class, everyone would talk about whatever mission, like No Russian. These are missions you haven't heard of.
No, everyone knows No Russian.
Okay, but still.
But
we are tapping into that same vein for the remaster.
Now, this isn't a remaster.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so Call of Duty Modern Warfare is not to be confused with Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is not to be confused with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, which is the one that came out in 2007. And then the one that coming out in 2019 drops the 4. So it's a light reboot, you could say.
God, dude, I hope Assassin's Creed Origins comes out like a decade later and be like, not to be confused.
Yeah, so the naming scheme is a little confusing. I saw a tweet that said something to the effect of, this new Call of Duty Modern Warfare is going to make the No Russian mission from the previous one look like a Pixar movie.
Yeah, a G-rated. Yeah.
So that sounds extreme.
I've heard the same thing. I hear like Infinity Ward's gonna go with. They're not gonna hold back in with the story. So yeah, anticipate. Do you remember? Yeah. So that was okay. Parents listening to the podcast. Video games can get kind of violent. Back in 2008?
2009.
You infiltrated the Russian terrorists who shot up a Russian airport. Not an American airport, because that would have been, over the line. And you just blow away civilians. 2013, when GTA 5 comes out, you torture a guy as Trevor.
Oh, yeah.
But it advocates for why torture doesn't work. and you help the victim afterward get on a plane. 2019, we are going to have No Russian 2, where you're probably gonna put a claymore on a baby. Does that joke work? Did you put claymores down?
That seems like the right level of escalation.
You know what claymores are, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
And like bouncing betties.
They're explosives.
Yeah. So don't get upset, parents. Only us adults are going to play this, and middle schoolers. But that's Call of Duty. Looking forward to it. E3.
Yeah, we're
getting up there.
We're already drowning in leaks and announcements, and
Are we? I haven't heard that much.
Oh, well, we've talked about like big things that came out just now. And there's other things, of course, like Larian Studios, who makes Divinity Original Sin. They're maybe working on a new Baldur's Gate.
Oh, yeah. Should we talk about our addictions now?
No. That's after news. That's going to be an extended discussion.
Okay.
I want to bring an official closure to the Apex Watch.
Yeah.
Because Apex Legends, which came out in February, revenue is now down 74% in 2 months, which is quite a bit.
It's just taken too long to update.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with the pace of Fortnite content.
They're throwing in Avengers and footballers every week.
Right. But
Fortnite is.
Apex Legends has been slow on the new content, which I want to give props to them. They've like come out and said, we're not going to force our employees to crunch, which is why...
We're not BioWare.
Yeah, in which Fortnite is victim to like excessive work hours and crunch at the studio to keep up with their incredible success.
Yeah.
And the people at Respawn are not cool with that, which I'm a big advocate for better workplace conditions in the video game industry. So, obviously there's been a cost to it. They've lost 74% of their revenue.
Yeah. Respawn is likely one of the best studios to work for, in addition to like Retro Studios, and Retro's making Donkey Kong, right? Or no, they did make Donkey Kong. They're making Metroid.
I think so.
Yeah, that's the name of it. Yeah. Find a game company that starts with an R. Respawn, Retro, and CD Projekt Red.
Rare if you're in the 90s.
Yeah.
Before Microsoft buys you. Yeah. So like, this game that was a smash success, 2 months later, it's much less. It just goes to show how fickle video game audiences can be and how dynamic and hard to predict this whole industry is. Which, as someone with...
I predicted it, though.
That's true.
Heath was right.
Sure. But as someone with no skin in the game, this makes like watching how colossal these shifts and trends can be, how fast they change. It makes it very entertaining to watch.
And apprehensive for the things we do have skin in the game for.
If I was working at a video game studio, this kind of thing would make me nervous. What seems like a big success can very quickly turn to dust in your mouth. Some personal background, I'm a software developer, and I studied computer science in school. Mm-hmm. And the initial plan as freshman Chris was...
make a roguelike.
To leverage this computer science bachelor's that I'm going to have in 4 years to get into video game development and be a coder on a game. So it's the marriage of like two things I like: video games, which I love, and like problem solving and iterating and creating architecture, digital architecture. And like a couple years into the program, I kind of did some looking into the industry, and that's when I found out how tumultuous it is and how
it's the Wild West.
It's rough out there. Layoffs.
Take this.
Layoffs occur frequently when projects wrap. It requires a lot more like commitment out of you than a traditional software job would. So the positions in the video game industry developing, they're highly coveted. So there's a lot of things the studios can get away with from their workers. So that's why I didn't ultimately choose to pursue it right out of college. Shout out to Super Bunny Hop on YouTube, who does some like very good, honest to goodness video game journalism.
You're mentioning the testing video?
Where recently he put out like a interview video with quality assurance people in the video game industry, testers. And he also did one on like how prevalent is crunch these days and should video game studios unionize. Very interesting interviews he did with actual people working on these things.
Yep.
This past couple years, with like the 100-hour work week scandal at Rockstar last year on Red Dead Redemption 2, it seems like people are shining the spotlights a lot more on these bad
practices,
business practices. And if they change things, who knows? Maybe my dream could come true and my name will be in the video game credits someday.
Yeah, but then we're going to have to wait even longer for the Sonic movie if people like start to care about employees.
I'm cool waiting for the rest of my life for that movie.
No. So we close the eyelids on Apex Legends. Wait, still there. I predict there will be one more battle royale that will go for the crown before Fortnite eventually wraps it up.
I could see, a couple more come out. Mm-hmm. It's tough to think that anything will dethrone Fortnite. I say that, and then just look at Apex Legends. It's dead 2 months later.
It had a great start, just hot off the blocks.
Any more news you want to cover? Maybe something about Xbox Game Pass coming to PC?
Yeah, okay, so I thought my Xbox was on my Xbox.
It's everywhere now.
It's everywhere. Okay, so Microsoft is treating my PC like an Xbox?
In almost like every way imaginable, yes.
So is that Xbox on my PC, or is this like Windows game on with like
games for Windows Live?
Are they just slapping Xbox on it and calling it? Because tell me, if I sign up for Game Pass and I log in on my desktop, am I playing what game did I want that's on there, or what's coming to it? Something good's coming to it.
All of their first-party games launched there, so that's cool.
If I played Assassin's Creed Origins, which is definitely not part of the Game Pass.
It might be. I don't know.
No way. That'd be a steal.
It's a good value.
Yeah,
But you're saying, will it work seamlessly on PC? It sounds like I think you will be able to download games from the Windows 10 store and then be able to play them on PC with Game Pass.
Okay.
And then on a separate note, Microsoft said they're also bringing some of their first-party games to Steam, like Gears of War 5, I believe, which is coming later this year.
I think I already own that. I thought that was like a bundle with my Xbox One S that we never played. I think so. Or what's the Gears of War before that? Like Ascension?
That's a God of War game.
Yeah, same thing to me.
They have the same acronym.
But this is cool.
Yeah.
I might consider a Game Pass.
I would be very interested to hear your impressions.
Is it like $5 a month?
I think it's $10 a month.
Oof.
Yeah. But unlimited access to hundreds of games instantly. That's tantalizing.
Yeah, but I can't even finish Transistor.
Yeah, there's the whole backlog problem.
Uh-huh.
Anything else to say on the news of this jam-packed couple of weeks?
We'll end the news at the 1 hour mark. It's just more news next week though to get big excited for.
Yeah, we're maybe going to do a special E3 episode with all the news that's bound to be happening.
Mm.
So we'll transition into our do transition music now.
Yeah, do transition music now. And we're back.
Hey, it's good to see you, Heath.
I have a problem. Chris, I'm sick.
You're breaking out in rashes.
I can't stop playing these video games.
But you didn't play anything the last 2 weeks.
Did you see like the World Health Organization or people reporting on the story used like artwork from GTA 5 where like the son is like flicking off his sister and being like, I'm trying to game over there.
A classic image.
How like derogatory for the mentally ill.
That paints the medium in such a fine, glowing view.
So the World Health Organization.
The World Health Organization.
Who inducted gaming addiction as like a real thing?
Video game addiction has now officially become a mental disorder recognized by the World Health Organization.
Okay.
It's diagnosable. You can get treatment for it.
And is this, okay, all jokes aside.
Here, let me read their actual definition.
All right.
Instead of paraphrasing, we'll use the words straight out of their mouth. What is gaming disorder? Gaming disorder is defined as a pattern of gaming behavior characterized by impaired control over gaming. 2, increasing priority given to gaming over other activities to the extent that gaming takes precedence over other interests and daily activities. And 3, continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. For gaming disorder to be diagnosed, the behavior pattern must be of sufficient severity to result in significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, or other important areas of functioning, and would normally be evident for at least 12 months, period. So, I've got a whole bunch of areas I want to take this conversation. The first of which is, how fair do you think it is that this has been included as like a actual mental disease, disorder that is characterized and diagnosable?
It's a little, I think we're sounding the alarm just because the cohort of people that are supposedly addicted to games, as if video game addiction was any different from like, what's another, is there another recreational addiction that's not narcotics? Do you think of like I'm addicted to musicals? Like, I think because it's like video game, you know, the imagery of just like the silhouette of a young adult in front of like a glowing screen in the middle of the night, like putting off eating, putting off sleeping. I think that's like got all the parents up in a bunch, and it's just like, it's no, when you on paper, it's no different from like being addicted to fishing.
It's so funny you bring up fishing because
really?
I searched the Who's
fishing video games.
I searched the Who's website for fishing addiction just to see if it was there.
Oh my god!
It's not there, by the way.
Oh, it should be, you know.
Broadly speaking, what you're getting at here, there's two like big camps of addiction. There's actual being physically addicted to a substance, which is like on the chemistry level, the molecular level. Your body will go through withdrawal if you don't get your hit of whatever you're addicted to.
Skim milk.
Skim milk, the most addictive substance known to man.
I go through like ask Justin. He was shocked how much skim milk I bought.
He was. Yeah. 3 gallons a week. Is that true?
Granted, I've been working like plus 12-hour days at the movie. Heath, in future reference, this is we're halfway through The Night House. I'm looking off at my future self, Chris. My gesture. You were like, what's over there?
Who are you gesturing to?
This was just like just like because I'm looking at myself in the future on my bed. She's over there. This is getting cut. 3 gallons of milk a week. Usually, if I am working a regular week, which I'm not, but
so as I was saying. Physical addiction, and then there is also psychological addiction,
behavioral,
which is very much a real thing as well. And the thing is, you can be
OCD, yeah.
You can be psychologically addicted to literally anything. This is where you're compulsed to continue doing something despite the fact that you really want to stop doing it. You see the negative consequences, but you can't just bring yourself to stop it, despite it being in your best interest to kill the behavior. In this case, they've inducted a specific example of gaming addiction into the disease thing, which for a while there, if you asked Chris a couple years ago, maybe if people are getting addicted to video games, I would have been maybe more flippant with my response. At this point in my life, I definitely think it's like an actual issue. I go to the subreddit every once in a blue moon called like Stop Gaming or something, and it's full of people who like really want to stop it. And they are really like, it's ruining their life. So it's not a question of whether or not this is happening. It is. My issue with it being inducted, though, is that you can be psychologically addicted to anything, right? So like the fact that this specific example is in there, I feel like
suggests that, video games are way more potent than knitting.
Yeah, it's like particularly, potent is a good word. I was curious, maybe what other things in our modern life are people maybe a little too reliant on? There was no entry for like internet addiction. There was no entry for social media addiction or like phone addiction or, sports addiction or workplace addiction. Many Americans work
like
a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like
Japan
to the point where they ignore their familial relationships. Ironically enough, the video game industry, people developing the games, often puts a heavy strain on their relationships.
My child can drive now.
Right. The term...
Wait. There's one title for the Super Best Friends cast where it's like the Metacritic pit, where game devs' children are kept in this pit and the doors are sealed until the game gets an 85 or higher, at which point it opens and you're allowed to spend time with your youth.
Yikes.
Yeah.
We literally have a colloquial term for people who spend too much time at work, the workaholic.
Right.
It's like part of our vernacular. But yeah, there's no entry for that in this disease thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I have some statistics I'm going to bring up later, but I feel like the video game addiction being entered into this database while the rest of these potential problems are not is maybe indicative of a stigma that still exists against video games, how they're negatively perceived by maybe the people who are in charge of this organization.
I hear what you're saying. I think there must be literature to back up their
claims.
Yeah.
And I brought some very small portion of literature just because I'm wondering, like, how prevalent is this exactly? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is more widespread than I anticipated. Quick stats from, this is from the WHO, the World Health Organization. They're citing that this figure seems a little high to me. They are estimating that of the population of players who play video games, 3 to 4% of them are affected by game addiction to the extent that it would qualify for being diagnosed.
Oh, I think that's, less than 10% makes sense.
Some demographic stats, they say the average age of a gamer is 35 years old, which I've heard before. I've heard
That's
early
high.
30s. The average age of a gaming addict, however, is much lower. It's 24 years old. How old are you, Heath?
23.
Okay, we're getting there.
One more year.
Ethnicity breakdown of a gamer in the USA.
Maybe.
67% Caucasian,
Yeah.
15% Hispanic, 12% African American, 5% Asian, 3% other. However, the demographics for an addict are quite different. 69% Caucasian, which is only 2% higher than 67%.
And then like 12% Asian.
Asian, which was previously 5%, has jumped up to 13%.
Yeah, that's what I
And then the other category jumped up to 18%. Or maybe that's just everyone else lumped in because, hard to say.
The data might be insufficient. But yeah. It's mostly us.
Yeah, mostly white guys in their early 20s.
Uh-huh. Wait, the average age for a gamer is 35? That's
Yes.
lumping in... That's lumping in
The Candy Crush players with 401ks.
the friggin' bus driver who
Presumably,
Angry Birds. That's not a gamer.
So we're talking about, by these numbers, this 3 to 4% figure, we're talking about tens of millions of people who would qualify for being diagnosed.
Oh, so did it count? How many gamers are there?
Oh, well, according to them, here's another. So this is obviously including. This is a
probably like 120 million.
No, it's much higher than that. So this is a very low bar.
Worldwide, I'm not thinking. I thought just America.
Yeah, worldwide, they're saying there are 2.2 billion gamers.
To varying degrees.
Degrees, sure.
Obviously, all of the addicts are in the top. Wait, so it's saying top 4%? Okay. This is getting very numerical.
Sure.
But okay. Of the 2.2 billion,
Yeah.
how many of them game as much as we do. So excluding the people who are only doing, cut the rope on their phones.
Right. Yeah. The World Health Organization did not provide those numbers.
Okay. Just estimating.
I have no idea.
It's
actually.
probably less than a quarter.
Probably.
So I want to say like 200 million people who like frequently game on their console or just have gaming hardware and are playing often enough. So, and that 3 to 4% are among that 200 million that I just threw out there. I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So with potentially tens of millions of people falling victim to this, I feel like that's justified in including it.
Tens of millions. Wow. Yeah.
Including,
to varying degrees.
To varying degrees.
Like are we ready to diagnose me?
Do you have
freshman year, I can distinctly remember a weekend where I just played Civ 5. Like exiting class Friday, I went to C3 for dinner and then I went back to my dorm. And this was at the time when my roommate had moved out. So I just slid the twin beds together. So I had a big bed. So no one to interrupt me in my gaming addiction. And I started up a game of Civ 5. I played as Poland because that's the most fun civilization to play as. I go to bed at before midnight, which is fine, right? Wake up Saturday because this is the weekend. Don't shower. Just open up the laptop, resume where I was. Stop for lunch, I think. I go over to the atrium and get something. Go back. Just keep playing until it's time for dinner-ish. I probably showered that day, but I don't, definitely not in the morning. I'm hitting the space bar before I'm picking up the soap bar. Yo, I'm so good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. And then I go to sleep Saturday later than Friday. So, maybe 1 a.m. And then Sunday is more of the same. This is a game of civilization, which lasts anywhere from 300 to 450 turns. Each turn lasting anywhere from a minute to 6 minutes. So, and I don't even think I won.
Oh no, that's the real crime here.
That's the real crime. I'm a loser. So, and granted, that's not every weekend, but is the WHO suggesting that these addicts are doing this frequently?
Yeah.
Or enough to warrant to medical
intervention.
Yeah, or intervention. That's a good way of putting it.
Right. So they say this type of self-destructive behavior has to be present for 12 months or longer to be diagnosable as a real recurring problem. Mm-hmm. Your isolated weekend of binging Civilization seems within reason because you weren't ignoring any responsibilities at the time, any dire ones at least. Yeah, so this is people who really can't help themselves. They
I had a colostomy bag and no.
I think you're totally fine, Heath.
What if I brought the laptop into the stall? Is that drawing the line?
I have seen you eat a meatball sub on a toilet, so I think with your particular case, it's not that weird.
It was a very clean restroom.
You can think that. Anyway, I want to kind of pivot.
Are you a gamer? How bad has it gotten for you?
Are you saying I have a problem? I don't have a problem.
We're here for you, Chris.
I haven't played a single game today. I'm fine. But yeah, I
what was people you're friends with? What was their worst? Did Jared just play Odyssey for 63 hours straight? I meant to say 36, the usual.
Yeah.
But 63 hours.
I think maybe some people on the fringes of my life who I don't know super well maybe could be lumped into this category. Not
to get too dark, but I don't think I know any addicts. So to think that I would suddenly be oh, I know such and such is addicted to games now. That's a weird addiction is not
to be taken lightly.
True.
It's a perspective I can't necessarily relate to.
All right.
As much as I love playing games, and I play them more than your average Joe, as much as I do that, I've never neglected urgent responsibilities for it. I have no problem turning it off and revisiting it a week later. Like, I made it through school just fine. I work 40 hours a week at least. It's fine. But I want to take this conversation into an adjacent area. I want to talk about like
Tariffs.
the implications, tariffs. Yeah, we kind of missed that one. The implications of the fact that we now have entertainment out there that is
Too good.
too entertaining.
Yeah.
For a sizable portion of the population. I say sizable.
We need to tone down those graphics.
We're talking millions of people affected by their estimates.
Longer load screens.
And
Our youth depends on it.
And I think, all right, I'm going to broaden the scope of this conversation. Let's look back 100 years ago. It is now the year 1919.
The boys are coming back from the Great War. Time to start investing in the stocks.
Yeah. Time for the roaring 20s.
Is my alcohol legal?
I think it's
Let me go ask the current president, Calvin Coolidge.
Right. What entertainment options are available to your
horses? That's it.
What entertainment options are available to your average American? Are they like
darts?
They're doing the thing where there's like a wheel and they hit it with a stick and then it like rolls around.
Yeah.
I mean, they have playing cards.
Little no spokes, just like the wheel.
In 1933, they'll get Monopoly, so they have that to look forward to.
No.
And now, let's do a quick dissection of entertainment today.
I would have liked to stay in 1919.
A quick Google search of golden age of television. Wikipedia, it brings up a Wikipedia article.
Seinfeld and
And
Frasier.
Wikipedia will point you to 3 different golden ages, one of which we are experiencing right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's calling the 2000s to the present as the 3rd golden age of TV, citing shows as
Friends?
The Sopranos and The Wire and Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, if you don't count the last season. All of these shows being pioneers in like watershed moments in television. And we have the rise of streaming platforms such as Netflix, Hulu, HBO Now, all of this content that is now readily available at our fingertips. If you go onto YouTube and type in the golden age of board games, you will find my friend Quentin Smith of board game review site Shut Up and Sit Down fame.
Yeah.
There will be not one, but 2 kind of lectures he gives to a live audience, making a very compelling argument that we are living in a golden age for board games that kind of exploded around 2011, 2012.
When Catan got made, yeah.
Well, that was 1995. Anyway, if you go on to the board game equivalent of IMDb, thank you, the Board Game Geek, and you look at the top 100 board games that have ever existed, you'll notice an alarming percentage of them came out within the past 5 years or so. These have been ranked by users by their quality and how worthwhile they are to play. The current registered user base at Board Game Geek is around 2 million.
Yeah.
However, if you go back to 2016, that number was 1/2 million, so 500,000. Board Game Geek has existed since the year 2000, which means 3/4 of its users have registered in the past 3 years alone.
It's a looking website too.
It is, but they're giving it a facelift.
It's a website.
So the interest and quality of board games is currently exploding.
It's a renaissance. Yeah.
If you type in, there's a very compelling argument to be made that we're in the golden age of podcasts at the moment. Case in point,
Every
look
Joe
at us.
Schmo has
We
one.
can do it.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere with this.
We're in a golden age of addictions. We got fentanyl. We got.
Maybe not all hardcore gamers would agree with me, but I personally think right now is the best time there's ever been to be playing video games. And I have a little bit of stats for you.
1996.
So Steam is the biggest digital distribution platform for games on the PC. It launched in September of 2003. As of recording this, there are 27,000 660 games on Steam. So we'll call it 27.5 thousand games. On a platform that has been around since 2003, 16 years the Steam has existed. Of those 27,000 games, 58% of them have come out since 2017.
Oh.
More than half have come out in the past 2 years and change. There are so many games coming out. 2018 alone had 9,300 on Steam. Now, with this...
Are they all like Scooty Cutie dress up garbage games?
So with the democratization of video game making tools, anyone and their mother can make a game now. So the bar for quality has slid, which
Truck Driver Sim.
which is a problem in and of itself. However, last year, of those 9,300 games that are on Steam, I'm not even counting like the console exclusive games here. If only the top 1% were worth playing. Only the top 99% of games are trash. If we say that, and only 1% are worth playing, that's still 93 games that are worth your time in a single year. I am one of the most prolific video game players I have met in real life.
And there's no time for 93 games in a year.
And in my peak in 2017, when I went crazy on games, I finished like 40.
Yeah.
So there's literally more than twice as many games than the most like crazy video game players can play that are constantly releasing. Forget the fact that there are previous years you can go back to and play. What I'm getting here is that
it's an abundance of
both
choice.
the quantity and quality of all entertainment products that are available to us today are at a
critical mass,
staggering peak.
Yeah.
And compared to 100 years ago,
hey, we're back.
It's practically a different like universe. Not to mention, we have emerging entertainment platforms. Virtual reality is in its infancy at the moment, along with augmented reality.
There's a Super Bunny Hop video on putting Mario 64 on VR. It released like a minute ago.
I watched it today.
You did? Yeah, great. Shout out to George. Buy his socks.
Yes, he has excellent socks.
Do you have his socks?
No.
Okay. I only have the donkey sweatshirt. I don't have any merch from these guys.
How much more would you have respected me if I said I had George socks?
I mean, we don't go to concerts or anything, so we don't have like shirts like that.
No.
All we have are shirts from school and then like maybe mandatory team building things.
This generation of consumer level virtual reality products launched in 2016 with like the Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, and the PlayStation VR. We're literally just 3 years later. This is 2019, and Oculus they just came out with the Oculus Quest, which is
Does it not need like a tower, like tons of setup?
Which is an Oculus virtual reality headset of comparable quality, which is completely untethered from a PC. All the sensors you need, all the processing power is all in the headset.
Wow.
That $1,000 at least PC rig you needed to previously run VR games is no longer required.
Are you telling me that I can run my Stadia right to my Oculus Quest?
Pretty much. Furthermore, the Oculus Rift 3 years ago was $600. This new Quest version
It's probably like $550.
is only $400.
Okay.
They've cut out needing an entire PC, and they reduced the price by a third in 3 years.
This is like the AirPods of VR. Everyone's going to be like, ew, wires.
This is like almost unfathomable level progress in 3 years.
It's because all that Zuck just threw tons of money at it.
Right. Where is our entertainment going to be in another 3 years?
You're going to be able to slap your friends in virtual wrestling.
Where we can extrapolate this timeline as long as we want. Where are we going to be in 10 years? This seems like if a sizable portion of the population is becoming addicted to entertainment where we are right now, how much bigger of a problem is this going to be going forward?
That's what I'm saying. The WHO categorizing gamers as just like any person who's ever installed solitaire, it's such a subjective label. The gamer a decade from now is going to be way more just engaged with the entertainment in question.
I'm sorry, what?
Did I derail you? What happened? You were saying like, how are things going to look in the future? And I was saying it's going to be just so drastically different that what the Who used to consider a gamer is going to be like the most casual, non-existent speck of data, because we're going to have so many people who do have the hardware, who are spending significant amount of time. Like, how many gamers did it say? 2.2 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're saying
it's going to grow, and not simply because it's going to grow in spite of the fact that some of the people who are currently considered gamers are not even going to qualify.
Okay. You're saying the like
with the way games are going, as you are describing,
the hardcore crowd is going to expand?
Well, don't you think?
I think so, probably. I'm thinking like in the future, I don't know how close we are to this. When virtual reality has matured, as has our...
virtual VR will be amazing before we go to the moon again.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Those two things seem unrelated.
NASA was like, we're gonna go to the moon and stay there by 2020.
Oh, okay. I did not see that.
Oh yeah, they came out swinging.
Video game addiction is serious enough at the moment to be considered a mental disease. What is going to happen when we have fully immersive virtual worlds people can go into, where every single person, every single NPC they see in the environment has an entire machine learning algorithm running behind them, where we no longer give characters in games explicit dialogue lines. Instead, we give them personality traits, and through machine learning, they come up with completely fluid conversations with them. You no longer give them your Fallout, yes, sarcastically, no. Instead, you ask them whatever you want, and they are able to respond to you.
Intuit what you're trying to
and hold a conversation. How close are we to making our entertainment so much more compelling than the drudgery of real life that this becomes an epidemic?
It becomes, the preferable environment.
Because I drew attention to how far our entertainment has come in the past 100 years, how they look nothing alike.
Play horseshoes in the back.
How far has our education system, or like just general jobs, how much have those changed?
Progressed.
Well, tech didn't, but the tech sector didn't
video
exist.
Video games are tech, yeah.
But I'm saying, like, when the growing disparity between how fun it is to engage with the entertainment versus
society,
those societal responsibilities and obligations have remained static for so long and have not necessarily gotten like more fun to engage with. When that disparity becomes so insurmountable,
the real world needs
how
a
many
patch.
people will retreat into these entertainment products?
Oh, seek refuge in my Xbox 5?
Yeah.
Are you asking me when we're gonna hit Ready Player One levels of video game asylum?
I'm just thinking, like, the younger generations, the millennials.
No, we're on Gen Z.
Yeah, we're maybe
there are
a little...
no more millennials being made. It's all Gen Z.
Right. Millennials and lower, who have entered the workplace after getting that 4-year degree they were told they need, and they're finding themselves like disenfranchised and unfulfilled.
Oh, you're like a novelist right now. You're foretelling the disillusion of upcoming generations.
They're finding the life that has traditionally been the typical path. They're finding it unfulfilling, and is one factor of that how exponentially better our entertainment has become? Has everything else become like gray and dull in comparison?
I mean, Breath of the Wild is pretty gray and dull, but
that's pretty green.
Maybe
mostly
even Tide
green.
Island is, yeah. No, the year in which real life people are seeking refuge in their games to a noticeable extent is in the far distant future. We are racing to big immersive with our quests.
Oculus Quest.
And the real world is catching up. You know, there's fun things in the real world. Like food. I can have my groceries brought to my door. Although that'll just enable me to play more games.
Yes, it will. I don't know. I'm coming from a very like hedonistic philosophy here. Hedonism.
I was hoping you'd define it. Yeah, I've heard it before, but
this is basically just like the pursuit of happiness. It's basically saying that it's fine to have your most noble goal in life to be seeking out pleasure. Like
yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
It's very utilitarian.
Right. If there's more high quality content coming out every year than any person can reasonably consume, why would they not want to just fully immerse themselves into that indefinitely? Be in a state of perpetual entertainment until the day they die.
If it were feasible.
If it were feasible. I'm dreaming of the day we reach that post-scarcity economy and I can just live in Breath of the Wild forever. I mean, like, that sounds ridiculous, but on some level that appeals to me.
I mean, yeah. Maybe we do have a problem.
I need help. Help me, World Health Organization.
When I read that article, I was imagining a skit where someone's like, "Yeah, dude, I just put 18 hours into Arkham blankety blank," and it's like, "Oh man, that's sick," and it's like, "I know, right?" And it's like, "No, that's sick. You need help." Like,
oh dear.
Of course, yeah. Big reasons to be excited. Certainly, there will be a small minority of people who are living this lifestyle of they're able to sustain themselves in the real world so that they can just spend way more time in whatever. It doesn't have to be VR. It could just be online.
We can't even predict what's going to exist. There could be a new evolution, a new entertainment medium.
It's not going to be simulation levels of engagement. Surely.
I don't know, man.
I'd be delighted if I'm wrong, but
if you took a cell phone in 2006 and compared it to this thing I'm holding right now, this thing looks at my face and then unlocks itself because it recognizes me. I would have told you that was black magic in 2006.
But do it got brick break?
What's that?
That's the game where like you're moving a platform at the bottom and like BlackBerry's had it.
Got it. I worry about the future, Heath, and I'm optimistic about the future too. I think there are going to be very crazy things we get to see in our lifetime, and I'm thrilled about it.
Oh yeah. Can't wait for the Steam library to double in like 6 months.
Yes.
Of course. That was probably one of the most surprising things that from this conversation.
I was shocked. Yeah. More than half the games on Steam came out in the past 2 years.
And some of them are good.
And some of them are great. Are we winding down here?
I mean, yeah. Maybe we should ask the listeners, how many prescriptions are you going to get for your video gaming addiction? What would you even do? I mean, you can't just unplug it unless you set all of your fetch quests to run in tandem. I don't know, like a games as a service thing where it's like, you know, you do all your things until like the timer starts and it's like, oh wait a day, then you can unplug it.
When I visit the Stop Gaming subreddit to try to understand the perspective of video game addiction, one common solution I see is that people who are addicted and they know they need to stop, but they can't force themselves to, they will log onto Steam, change their password, hammer in a random set of keys, hit OK, and they have forced themselves to be locked out of their Steam account. They can no longer play their games.
Oh, dude, I forget my password.
Yeah. They'll probably like.
I obviously that's they probably address that somehow.
They'd probably find some way to like make it permanent. I don't know.
But oof,
That's like the nuclear option.
Exactly. Like I would much sooner drop a bomb than do that. The nuclear option.
Well, Heath, that was episode 17 of Mobius Tubes.
Dang, are we just bookending it like right there? We didn't even talk about tariffs.
Maybe next time.
Revisit it.
If they go into effect, we'll definitely talk about them.
Oh, this is like a current events thing, not
Right.
necessarily like a thing that they're speculating.
Right. With the trade war with China, there could be a 25% tariff on all video game consoles
Manufacturing
in China, which is where they get made. So that could be bad for next gen, which are already looking like pricey consoles. But if I was a betting man, I would say this all blows over without the 25% tariff hitting consoles.
Okay.
Anyway.
With bated breath.
With bated breath. You can write us an email at mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
And send us your fan art and whatnot, because that's what I care about. To at Mobius Tubes
on Twitter. And that'll be a wrap for episode 17. Thank you for your time, Heath.
I gotta go play more games.
Yeah, you're not looking so good. And that'll be it. Goodbye.